guys, welcome to Let's Talk Stupid. This is Compound.
And I'm proud. And today we're talking about some topic that is very light again, and it's a fun topic to talk about.
Yeah, so we're talking about movies, and that includes as well as series and short films like that
Mm-hmm.
as well. So we want to begin with a little activity, as we always do. So this activities is going to be about me and Proud describing the our favorite movie in the most boring narrative ever, and also describing the most boring movies in our opinions in the best narrative ever. We don't know if we're gonna, nail this or not, so if we don't expect too much from us.
Yeah, and I think I'm very biased, so at the end of the day, I'll try to make the my favorite movies fun anyway.
Okay, so maybe we can start with you describing your favorite movies into like the most boring narrative, just to get like the bars
Okay,
down.
fine.
just not
Okay.
to be any pressure or anything.
Okay. So, how many how many do you think I should like tell the story? Like how many movies?
I mean, it should be just like one if it's
Okay.
like the entire 2 hours film, but if it's a series, then if there's multiple seasons, you can just give us like the synopsis of all of it.
Okay. I actually listed two because I don't really know what to nitpick about it much. But we'll see. Maybe it will come up like when I start talking. So, my favorite movie, I don't think not like of all time, but it's one of my favorites, and it's the one that I could think of is Passengers. Have you watched that?
Oh, it's like Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it?
Yes.
And there's like a song from your favorite band
Yeah.
called Levitate.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, well, basically, it's a typical sci fi story. But this time, it's about the passengers, of course. So, people are going to uh, colonize a new planet, and it will take like 50 years in order to get to that planet. So everyone will be sleeping, sort of, but they will be maintained in a condition that they won't grow older, and they basically sleep in like a capsule shaped pod. And well, the story, well, it's very a cliche thing that our protagonist will somehow wake up. Like every movie ever, the protagonist will wake up and figure out how to live on this spaceship. And the thing that doesn't make any sense at all is that we have this high tech technology to like transfer all these, I believe, hundreds of lives to a new planet. But our communication system still sucks. Like, really sucks. It takes like 50 years, like almost the equal time of the travel or something. I couldn't remember. Oh no, it takes more than 50 years to get to that planet, but like they have 50 years left when the protagonists wake up or something. So, um, it will take 50 years from the message to reach Earth, so they couldn't like give some emergency signal. And I that's what I think, that it doesn't make any sense. And if we have that high technology, I think they could survive. It's 50 more years, and he's like 30 or something. He could live till he's 80 years old alone in the spaceship. He doesn't need to like ruin someone's life by waking them up and like make them love you and live with you for the next 50 years.
yeah, true. Like, and one thing, I've watched this movie too, and I don't think it is very. I don't find it very realistic
Uh-huh.
that the protagonists fell in love with each other in the end. How could you love somebody who committed such crime against
Yeah,
you?
but here's the catch: because you didn't know it before. Like, because you have already fallen in love with that guy and you knew it after the fact. And that's just the same plot all over again. And and we see all the typical stuff. They write each other's a little note. It's just customary romantic drama film.
I mean, the interesting thing about it is that there's not so many sci-fi romantic as like sci-fi
Oh,
and romantic labeled
oh
movies.
well,
More like
that's
those
true.
two combined together is like
That's why I liked it.
a good,
But yeah, I
yeah.
don't think my description is quite boring. It's more like angry and furious. I don't really know how to make it boring. Well, you got all the science component, you got all the dramas, and I actually have like another one. It's called Little Women. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, sure. It's the story of Jo and her sisters,
Yeah,
right?
it's based on a book, a novel, I suppose, and it's just a period piece of film, and well, you got all the same women empowerment stuff. Fighting for women is a great message, but same storyline that men always is superior and women are struggling to like be independent and stuff. And eventually, well, spoiler alert, Joe fell in love. And I think the most messed up thing in this film is that Laurie married Amy. And,
Well,
uh huh,
actually, like the author of the book, it's kind of hinted that she based Jo out of herself,
uh huh.
and she kind of like, and it's kind of true that she added the part that Jo fell in love later because a publisher forced her to do
Oh,
it.
yeah, I forgot about that, but I've heard of it.
Amy marry Laurie, and why are you happy with that? I mean, I read the book and I'm happy with the decision.
No, because how they displayed in the film, it there is like a scene that Laurie being very suppressive and Amy being so like submissive, and I don't want to believe that the cute and light-hearted Laurie could be so, I don't know, bad.
Well, in my opinion, like the Laurie and Amy dynamic kind of went too quick for me in the
Uh
film,
huh.
and also the actor that has been chosen, that the actresses that have been chosen to play these sisters doesn't look like Amy looks older than
Oh,
Jo.
that's true. That's very true.
But, and also Emma Watson looks really really young.
Yeah, that's
Should be
true.
the
She
youngest.
should be the youngest. And I have to say this, she's the most beautiful, I don't know, from my opinion, in the movie.
And but I find her story kind of like slow. It's going really really slow.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but like I think there's always this storyline. Like another movie, Bridgerton, it has like this same pattern of like first the oldest sister, the oldest daughter in the family will marry someone perfect and will want the life of like typical women in that period of time. But other younger daughters will be like more rebellious.
That's true. That's also the case with Pride and Prejudice, right?
I've never
Like,
read it.
go watch it. You'll love it. It's on Netflix as well.
Okay. I believe it's a book before it's a film, right?
Yeah, but the book, I think I can't handle it, so I read it and I fell asleep. So I decided to choose something simpler to consume.
Uh-huh. Okay, I guess it's your turn now because apparently, well, I have to say this again. I love these two movies. There are so many things I could nitpick about it, but overall, they have like Well, I couldn't say this for Passengers, but Little Women definitely has like a very good message and it's very encouraging. You should watch it for sure.
Definitely. So, my favorite movies or slash series it's actually Black Mirror, no surprise, and also Love, Death, and Robots.
Oh.
But those two were too precious, so I don't want to touch them.
Uh-huh.
And also, my favorite movies are Schindler's List, but I don't want to touch that either. That's a sensitive topic, so World War II and that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I'm getting into my second favorite movie, Shawshank Redemption. I know this is going to be sensitive as well, so don't mind me because I'm just trying to make it look boring. So, okay. But I'm good at making interesting story boring, so hold on.
That's your
Okay, so
talent.
there's this guy. Thank you, appreciate it. So there's a guy who, like, there's always a guy in the movies. It's never, except it's a love comedy. Is always a guy. There was always a guy. Okay, so there was a guy, and he went to jail because he like kind of shoot his wife and her lover, something like that. He went to jail. And so he went on his day in jail. So it's just kind of like the typical jail cliche is that the guards were always so mean. Like I don't understand. Were these guards sick, or were they diagnosed with sadism and any sort of that
I
stuff?
don't know,
Because they
but
seem to be really into that.
there's a thing called like a prison experiment carried out like years ago. It couldn't be carried out anymore in the present day because like the research ethics is much more strict. But basically they like got some people volunteered to sort of role play as a prisoner and the jail keeper, and it turns out yes, things got more and more violent, and like they become less human-ish.
True. Maybe like I've heard of that, and there's a film that is made after that story too.
Oh,
It's like the things got too violent, and the professor wouldn't stop it because they were like on the edge of their seats and actually thinking they're the warden. Those
uh-huh.
sort of stuff. I'm not sure about this.
Yeah.
So back to the story.
Okay. Sorry.
No, no, this is fun actually, like the Stanford person experiment, right? So like back to the story. It's like okay, typical cliche prisoners thing. You went to jail. You gotta have jailmates, right? You gotta have one black friend.
Mm-hmm.
Very cliche. You gotta have black friend.
That's
He was a
so.
white guy. For your
Uh-huh.
information, he was a white guy befriended a black guy who was like a dealer in jails. There was always a dealer who can get you everything. I don't understand how these things work as well because I've never been to jail because I'm way too young. That doesn't
You
mean if I'm old
you
I'm
don't want to
gonna.
know that.
Yeah, I don't want to know that either. But also, that guy was a dealer, and then they talk, they become friends. And one day, our protagonist was so brave and so determined. He built a library, and he helped the warden cheat it with. He helped,
Wait,
yeah,
build a library inside a jail?
yeah. It was just boring library, like a small little library, and people just go read books in there. But he built it because he was able to build that because he helped the warden cheated the taxes and stuff. He helped a lot of people in their cheated tax because he was accountant before, so he knows how to like
Uh-huh.
laundry money and stuff. And so he kind of did that. And he kind of go on his life in jail. Like 20 years passed. Woohoo! And a guy died. Doesn't matter how, a guy always died in like these kind of films. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And one day he used a hammer that he was gifted by his dealer friend to break out of the prison. How crazy was that? The end.
And then he died
No, he
after
didn't
that.
die. He survived and he go live somewhere. And then he met his dealer friends later.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, you basically talked about everything in the movie with like the monotonous voice. So, okay.
Well, but I guess it still sounds interesting about the thing that he helped the warden
Yeah,
cheat.
I uh-huh.
Man, it was so good. How could I make it bad?
True. Okay, now do I have to go first again? Yeah, I probably
Yeah.
have to. So there is this YouTube original series that I don't really like. It is called Weird City.
The Black Mirror ripoff?
Yes, the Black Mirror ripoff. And many people actually said that this is like a very good series. But from my perspective, it's very bland. But yeah, so here's the thing. So I have to make it sounds interesting, right? But you should probably watch Black Mirror because this movie is tasteless. Like tasteless. Okay. So this series, because it is a YouTube originals and you have to have like YouTube premium account in order to like watch the whole things. But so because I don't have one, I'm able to watch only like 2 episodes, which is like the first and the second episode. And the first one is called The One. It is a story about a young man who wants to find love. So he like signed himself up in a sort of futuristic Tinder. Okay, that's a way to put it. So he like basically like went through all the DNA tests, went through all the quizzes to make sure that his match will be the perfect one. And the fun thing about this is that he didn't even have to like go to multiple dates like in Black Mirror, is that you have to like test out and then the system will progress along the way. This one is like you test it out at first and then you'll be calculated and you'll meet your first loved ones. And then he basically like so he got matched with someone and they didn't tell him anything about it before they actually met. And when he was in a room or a restaurant, I'm not sure, turns out the person he's meeting is an old man and it's his match. Yes. So he was shocked, but the other guy was shocked too because they are both sure that they feel out like they prefer female or something. But turns out they got matched. But so they were like having some awkward conversation. They were like, "Yeah, see you later." But as like they were just going to like saying goodbye, like they decided, "Oh, well, we don't want to well, it might be like a fun thing to do. Maybe we are a match, so let's just have a dinner and then we can say goodbye later." I don't like guys and he doesn't like guys, so a dinner wouldn't kill us, right? Something like that. So they went to a dinner and basically they had like the same order, like favorite order, which was apparently very weird. And so like they bonded and they were like actually liked each other and then they became boyfriends. Uh-huh. And well, after that they had like lots of fun time. And turns out one of the company staff like contacted both of them and told them that it was a wrong match. It was miscalculation. They weren't supposed to be matched. And they were furious. They were like, "We fell in love."
Oh, DAM.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah, and so like they got separated because the company or something didn't want them to contact anymore. And so both of them tried to like date a woman and found out that they don't like women anymore. And like those women were just too annoying. So they decided to secretly meet up and then like run away together.
interesting. Why can't they just like, stay together because they want to and
I can't
yeah,
really
that.
I can't really remember. And so it is not that bad, but it's quite boring. The storyline is very predictable. Like you could tell there are so many signs that I thought at like the a few moments like after they've met, I was like, yeah, they're gonna like each other and someone is going to break them apart and then they will reunite for sure. And there isn't that much intensity to it. There aren't any like uh, twisted plots or anything that I want to find out about it more, unlike Black Mirrors.
True. I haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've saw the thumbnail, but as soon as I've checked in Reddit that it is a Black Mirror ripoff, I don't want to do anything to ruin my precious memory of Black Mirror, so
That's
I don't
true.
watch it.
It's like a softer version of Black Mirror that doesn't have anything like twisted or that. Well, I here's the thing. I don't remember like most of the film. I just remember some details, like some simple plot that happened to it. I can't even remember why they didn't continue dating. So that's how boring it is. And well, yeah, and well, I would say because it is sort of futuristic, it's too futuristic and cartoonish, and most of the time the actors and the characters would not feel real. Like in Black Mirror, we feel like they are real people, but in this series, we see them as like cartoon characters.
I get it. Maybe it's like, bad dialogue writing or like, I don't know, but I just don't feel like it might appeal to some group of people who haven't met the standard
Mm-hmm.
Black Mirror. Maybe.
True. Yeah, but at least it represents like diversity and homosexuality. So if you're into that, you can check it out. It's not that bad. It's just that Black Mirror is better. Way better.
Poor Weird City. If Black Mirror haven't found you first, then maybe Weird City would have
I
got
might
you.
actually liked it.
Yeah.
But Black Mirror definitely changed my taste of like movies, like because the scene, like the emotional scenes are like so good.
True. It's the best. Okay, so moving on to me, or do you have any other movies to talk about?
I have another one, but it's the same thing that it's so boring that I couldn't remember like anything from it. And this one is like, so I'll tell the movie name, so you might want to avoid it or you might want to watch it and just tell me that I'm wrong. It's called The Kid Who Would Be King. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's the kid who suddenly got like King Arthur of the Round
Yeah,
Table power,
that's
right?
one. That's the one. Well, the story doesn't make any sense. Like, it makes no sense. It's just like magic. And I remember one scene of like he chanting some spells or something, and like a sword, an Excalibur sword or something, just like being like present out from a toilet, like being hauled out from the toilet. Yeah, that's funny. But most of well, basically everything in this film doesn't make any sense. I've heard that they got some good reviews, but the studio lost as high as $50 million from this film. So I don't think it did too well in 2019.
Okay. So my worst experience is not actually it's not like the worst, but maybe I set the bar too high for this one, but I actually hated the Joker.
Oh,
Okay, so the Joker,
I've
I
ha-
know.
I have
Alright,
not
the
watched it,
Joker.
but it got so many great reviews, though. You're gonna make so many people upset, including my mom.
Okay, so the story about the Joker is he is a guy. He he was like he was oppressed by
Uh huh.
society. No, get a load of the society. He was oppressed by society so much. He first worked. He like dressed up as clowns and you know, put up advertisement, do cool moves in front of newly opened restaurants or newly opened places. So, but actually, he was like, he got this disease with him. The disease is kind of like, it kind of made him unable to stop laughing. Even in the worst time, even when he feels sad, very, very sad or very, very upset, this kind of symptoms will show up and he won't be able to stop
Oh,
laughing. So it's kind of creepy,
I want
right?
to butt in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a disease or a symptom called Tourette's. I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly. It's a disorder in like your muscle or something. So like when something triggers you, you will like react very quickly. Like it's either like someone would be uh, like slapping very fast, or someone would bark, but it's a real thing, and it's a real disease that people struggles a lot, and I find it quite similar to that. I'm not sure if it's the condition Joker is having.
I'm not sure whether the condition the Joker was having is this disease or not, but the disease that Joker had was real. There's like people who suffered from this stuff. So after that, he found out a lot of truth, including truth about his true nature, truth about his mind, his mentality, his state. And he found out that people love humiliation. That's what they came for. They didn't like anything that is kind or anything. People only liked you because you have money, you have power, and people will only listen to you if you use violence. Because this world is so effed up. Sort of that stuff. And one day, the Joker breaks. So, you guys can go watch the movies. I don't want to spoil it because obviously it got good reviews. But here's why I don't like it. So, the movie was slow burn. It burns very slow. I can't even feel the burn. And also, Joker danced a lot.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
you know, when I say a lot, it's really a lot. And he was kind of like,
he got
in
some
the film, he was
styles.
always dancing.
Yeah, like
Of course, but it's like, he danced the way I did. So I hate it. Joker copies my move, okay? I invented it. I'm joking, actually. He danced very awkwardly, just like I do. So I know that it's symbolic for something. It's just, I don't get it. Why do you dance? Why do you always dance? You don't have to dance all the time. For me, it's meaningless. And all the talking scene with the therapist and all the rant about society, I mean, maybe I'm too young, but I was like, there's too much talking. You need to like get into doing and like
I think
more of
like
that.
our generation has less patience and concentration than the older one, and the one that is younger than us is probably have like the shortest amount of patience ever, like considering this type of media they consume every single day, like TikTok and reels, like the short clips, YouTube. Yeah, I don't think we could concentrate that much anymore.
I don't know. I just don't think that anything that Joker's did was symbolic to me. Look, take Black Mirror for example. In Nosedive, there's a lot of uncomfortable talking and like actions, right? But I understand the point of each action, so I don't think that
Oh,
that thing is boring. I find Joker boring because I don't understand the symbols behind the weird dancing in the
okay.
bathroom with like a super slow music.
Okay, I
I just
understand.
don't get it. Why do you do that?
Uh-huh.
Copy my move, man. Not cool.
Okay, I get it. So, what do you think movies will be like in the future?
Well, obviously, the thing that people are taking favor on today is actually like cautionary tale. Black Mirror, a very good example of cautionary tale. I mean, a lot. 1984 cautionary tale as well. So, I mean, every Oscar-winning movie is a cautionary tale or a cautionary tale. No, not in that way. There's some that is not as well, like Frozen. There's
Frozen.
one, but like mostly, yeah.
Okay.
Well, Frozen won like pictures, best pictures, right?
Oh, I have a fun fact. So, did you know that Steve Jobs left Apple for a period of time
Yeah, and
and he founded Pixar during that time?
oh,
And then he was recruited back to Apple because the company was doing so bad. And so, what I'm trying to say is that at first I was going to say that in the future, like Disney probably rules the world because Disney basically own like almost every major movie company. Disney owns obviously like uh, Walt Disney Pictures. It owns Pixar. It owns Marvel. It owns Lucasfilm. It owns Fox. Well, that's about it. And like other competitors are just like Warner Brothers, Sony, and Universal Picture. So I think Disney is not like for young people anymore for like almost a decade. But I think that our perception towards Disney is still sort of like for younger generation, but it's just a brand, right?
yeah. On that point that you think Disney is going to rule the world, I'm going to be optimistic for this one. I don't think so. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
the fact is Disney failed a lot recently. For example, Lion King. That real animation and Beyonce's voice
Yeah,
acting. I mean, it's perfect, but it doesn't match like the
that's
protagonist's
true.
voice acting.
I could say that's another boring film because everyone already know like the storyline and they are there to like see the technology of how real that could be. But like I don't really like that song as well. I thought it was weird. Like so off.
Yeah, and Simba was not cool at all. Not like the way he was in the cartoon.
Well,
And
I could
also,
argue about
yeah,
that because one of my friend, like I was watching with my friend, and the friend beside me was like, "Oh, he was handsome," and I was like, "Are you falling in love with that lion?"
seriously?
Yeah,
What? Okay, nothing against that. Totally respect your like
opinion,
this.
but I don't support bestiality, of course.
Yeah, sure, don't do it to the lion if it doesn't consent.
It won't consent. Doesn't matter with consent or without consent. It's still
Yeah,
wrong
yeah.
ethically.
How you found a lion attractive? I just don't
It's
understand
just
that.
funny. I guess it's more of like the lighting and stuff,
Yeah.
like describing that the creature is majestic, I guess. It's not like physically attractive or
Oh, right,
something.
right. Okay, so another Disney flop is Mulan. So Mulan is trying to,
Uh,
market it to the Chinese market, but something's going on.
I think it's quite political for that one, so that's why it failed.
But like for me, as a person who watched it unbiasedly, when all the people in my school hangs poster ban Mulan, and I still go to watch that film, it was bad. It was not good. It was boring, and the animation was so
Hmm.
bad. I can't believe I walked into a Disney film.
Oh, like another example for bad Marvel animation, bad Disney animation. It's whatever. So, I watched Thor Ragnarok years ago, and there was this scene that Thor had lightning came out of his eyes, and it was so unrealistic. And I was like, "That looks cheap, Marvel. I'm so disappointed in you."
True, true that.
But like the whole movie was very funny. I enjoyed it a lot. Like so good.
But on the point of things being funny, I think that movies are heading to the direction of being sort of like comedy because it's easier to consume both the younger audience and like, the older audience.
That's true. And I think there might be more varieties of, well, media you could consume, like entertainment ways that, well, there might be other ways to entertain yourself, like YouTube. like I've already said, there are already like film on the internet on YouTube, like Crib TV. That's where you could like watch full series of horror movies, and MatPat actually did an episode about this.
True. What's wrong with my voice? But also, as well as I think that some people say that in the future there's not gonna be like too as much as many bad films as there are today. But I would say I disagree. Like bad movies,
Yeah, I,
for
mhm.
example, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, I don't need to explain why it's bad. Or Sarah Burgess is a
Oh yeah,
loser.
it's so bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so bad. I should have talked about it. I completely forgot about it. It's so bad. Well, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
yeah, and also like Emily in
I was
Paris
like,
as well, right?
oh, that's that one. I originally thought it was good, and then I continued watching it, and it was like, oh, it's bad. It's bad. And people hated it because they like make French people look bad, and real French people were mad because they don't like represent French culture at all. And like, who is this girl? This American attitude to be like everyone has to think like she thinks.
Um, that is very. That sounds like something. I find Emily in Paris really boring because all the cliches and all the dialogues are
Mm-hmm.
meaningless. There's no character development at all.
Oh, that's true.
It's just Emily doing her thing. They're like predictable that she's gonna be a jerk, right? And she,
She's a real jerk. Everyone talked about her like she's so bad. She's so disagreeable, but somehow everyone liked her in the movie.
yeah, but still, I think that instead of putting like explicit rape to Breaking Bad, oh yeah, Breaking Bad should stay explicit. But instead of trying to like PC every YouTube content, why don't we make this explicit for children as well? Because do you think this is appropriate for children to watch? No, I don't think so. It's full of
Oh,
stereotype and like cheesy
mm-hmm.
gay
True.
stereotype.
Yeah. I think there might be some age limit, but I highly doubt that because oh well, yeah, I think it there'll be some age limit because apparently Emily sleep with almost every guy in the not every guy, but lots of guys in the series, including like her crush's brother. Yeah, which is quite weird. And okay, let's move on. Oh, another technology I want to mention is like uh, augmented reality and virtual reality. I think it could be very entertaining. Like, it would be interactive and immersive, and we could see that idea in, well, interactive films already existed, like in Netflix, Black Mirror already has one, and in YouTube, Markiplier, like a heist with Markiplier is also a very good example.
I think that on like interactive movies, I'll have to say that
Mm-hmm.
Bandersnatch is good, but it doesn't impress me as much as other episodes of Black Mirror. Firstly, because I think that the process of like
Mm-hmm.
redoing if you die was kind of like boring. How about you just make endings that like impress everybody at the first place and try
Mm-hmm.
to like vary something a little bit when you played a second round because it's like
Uh-huh.
the same old
Actually,
cutscene. You
they
just got
had
bored of
lots
it.
of like Easter egg inside of Bandersnatch. Like you have to do like a couple of times in order to get that specific ending. And yeah, it's quite interesting anyway, but I'm totally agree with you that the process of going back and changing the decisions is quite tedious.
To say the very least, it's tedious. And if you go to like Stefan's murdering his father's route, it varies too much. I mean, it sounds kind of fun if you can return. If you read it on like Reddit or something, it sounds kind of fun to find out all the endings. But when you actually got to play to get to different endings, the story was kind of like,
Yeah, it's quite hard to keep track, to be honest. But I went through all the endings anyway because I was free for some reason.
nice.
And oh, another thing that I want to add, I find it quite weird when people, including me, enjoy watching vlog. It's like watching people's life, but somehow we enjoy watching it.
Maybe this is my personal opinion, but I find vlog really frustrating because the
Oh.
cameras always move, and like like the cringy sound effect of like cha, the kind of bad puns they play
Well,
just
I think
annoys me
it's
so much.
subjective then.
So I don't really want to watch them.
It's probably. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but people who enjoyed it may think it funny. Yeah, I totally respect everybody's taste. I mean, even though you love To All the Boys I've Loved Before or you love the Joker, it doesn't matter to me because, as I've said before in last episode, what you do, I don't actually mind. Okay, you do you. So I respect your taste, but we have to face the facts that everything changes. So the movies that you like, if it's a niche movies, then probably there is a chance that they're not gonna make that type of movie anymore. So don't be salty about it. But there's also a chance that they're gonna make more movies like that because it might become a mainstream. So if there's a lot of kids who enjoys movies like you, don't be salty about that too.
And don't be salty about the spin off that isn't as good as the first original movie that you love. Oh, like about rewatching a movie. So I just rewatched The Fault in Our Stars, and I feel like it didn't have the same magic like the first time I watched it. I actually liked it less than the first time I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's probably because I know all the stories, and actually I was like found something that doesn't make sense about the movie, and I was like, well, the message is good. It's a very sad story, but for some reason it didn't click to me like the first time it did.
Maybe because when you were watching The Fallen Our Star, you were younger and you still believe in, you know,
True love.
not that, but like you were still into that cliche. Now you were like,
Uh-huh.
no, not anymore.
Nah, you're not gonna fool me, Disney or whatever company. Okay.
Okay, so that's pretty much for this episode. So the question I wanted to leave you is that, do you think that your favorite movie would have a spin-off? And if it had, what would it be like? Would it appeal to the mass, or would it be a center of hatred?
So you can send your answers to us to let's talk stupid at gmail.com, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It's all Let's Talk Stupid.
Yeah, and tell them about the news, Proud.
So we'll be posting on every Tuesday instead of Monday. And thank you so much for listening to this episode. We'll see you next week.
Bye, have a nice day or night, depending on the time of our upload.